As we are still on Freddie Freeman watch, in the immediate aftermath of Major League Baseball and the MLBPA coming to an agreement, we turn down the headphones because the guys who immediately follow us are old men who can't hear anything, and so they have the headphones set at 100.
They're set at and they literally can't get them turned loud enough.
Correct.
It's like every time you walk in, it's like, can it go any louder? Like, no.
It's so loud that you can literally hear them scratching.
It's
like
already at 150.
Yeah,
like
hear
I
the
can't do
headphones
anything
scratching.
about it.
But as we sit in the wake of Major League Baseball returning, free agency opening, as we are on Freddie Freeman watch, where
we're watching.
There's I'm watching a whole bunch of quote unquote experts say that the Braves are probably the third best in terms of odds.
Wow.
With the Yankees and the Dodgers being ahead of them. So there's a whole lot going on. But as we sit there, I have to start here. PJ Zuko.
Yeah.
Brings to me a playlist.
we're going. Okay. We
are
going
starting here. Brings to me a playlist called Songs That Get White People Hyped.
Yeah.
I need 5 songs off this playlist, and I will determine whether or not you will have a 45-year-old suburban mom standing on a bar somewhere to this song.
Okay. All right. No problem. I'll go with the top 5. The top 5.
Like these are songs that when a Caucasian person hears them cannot help but to just awkwardly move our hips.
Yeah.
And kind of like rotate our arms up and down a little bit and maybe do the if we're feeling spicy, do the sprinkler dance.
Right.
All right. So these are those songs.
All right. So
I just need 5.
Yeah.
Can you just like put it on shuffle and tell me the 5 that come up?
No.
All right.
I can't do that.
All right.
Because I think these top 5 are pretty solid.
Okay.
Like it's literally the top of the list. Stacy's mom.
She's got it going on.
She absolutely. Everyone knows.
Fountains of Wayne, right?
Everyone knows that. Yes. Fountains of Wayne.
All right.
Number 2. Piano Man.
Billy Joel. Yeah. I don't know about hyped, but yeah.
Number 3 gets you hyped, and you start off listening to it sometimes, and you're like, I don't know if I want to hear this, and then like a minute in, you're just pumping, you're just belting the lyrics out. Just Don't Stop Believing by Journey.
Yeah, that might be number 1. That's the number 1 seed.
Kevin's comments in the other room, just hilarious.
I didn't hear him.
All right. Shot Through the Heart by Bon Jovi.
And you're too late.
You give love
a bad name.
I mean, you do. And then, I'll go with this one. I'm going to say the next 2, actually.
Okay, top 6.
Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice.
Cruising in the 5.0 with my rag top down so my hair can blow. Yeah, all that.
There you go. Yep. Of course.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Kevin. Rolling. I have failed.
And then this one's for the newer crowd, I think, for like the people our age, around our age. But then again, there's some older folk that surprisingly know it pretty well. Mr. Brightside by the Killers.
Dude, the entire like Ann Arbor, like Michigan Stadium.
Yeah.
Sings that song.
I try not to, acknowledge them, but you're right. They do.
It's pretty lit. I kind of like that. Yeah, no, all right, so we start there, but
songs that excite white folk. That's actually the title of the songs that excite the white folk.
I mean, they're not wrong. It's not wrong. I'm just glad that playlist exists. So that's out there. You can Google it. But no, the baseball's back. And some of the sins of the past have been corrected. So what do we need to know?
You're right, man. Rob Manfred, I'm just so happy with him. Just so
maybe the best commissioner of all time.
Exactly. So pleased that he's MLB's commissioner, man, and just he did such a solid job. Do you hear him say that last night? Just he's sorry to the fans, but he's just happy they could get it done. Because at the end of the day, they were the top priority the whole time.
The fans. It's just the best way to pay the teachers, save the wells. And it's all about the fans.
Always.
That's how you keep people on your side. You're like, hey, we hate the players and we don't want to pay them anything more than what we're kind of giving them now. And we want to be able to sign international players to just ludicrous deals that like are going to put them behind the curve a lot. But it's really about the fans.
Right, right. Absolutely. And the fans that those players once were, you know? So, yeah, we'll just bring them in for dirt cheap and see what we can do with them.
So here we go. Baseball's back. What does that mean? Opening day is going to be April 7th. The mandatory report date is this Sunday, and players can report as early as Friday. So camp's opening up on Sunday. And then from there, what's going on? What changes have we seen to the sport, right? 2 more teams in the playoffs.
So they're expanding as well.
Well, baseball's gone from the most elite of all the professional sports leagues to one of the more inclusive when it comes to playoffs. But it's all about TV money. But we'll talk about that
Yeah.
here in a second. Also gone are 7-inning doubleheaders. We are back to just the regular old 9-inning doubleheaders,
There we
which
go.
I like.
It's baseball.
You change the sport. The
Yeah.
beautiful thing, I heard a baseball coach say this. The beautiful thing about baseball is it's the most fair sport of all time. You get exactly the same amount of opportunities as the other team does. And does that change in 7 innings? No, but how many times have we seen like 8 and 9 inning magic happen? It just kind of changes the sport, right? Because it's supposed to be you have a frontline starter where it used to be the starter was supposed to go 6 to 7, but now you have your frontline starter who goes 4 to 5 innings. When you make that a 7-inning game, it just kind of takes what little strategy remains out of the game. So it's back to 9-inning games. Also gone are ghost runners on second base to start extra innings,
There we go.
which again, to me was foolish.
Yeah.
But also, and we can have this conversation if you want to, no different than putting the ball on the 25-yard line and saying go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Okay.
even like it's actually even less of an advantage than what college football does, because that would be like putting
College
a run.
football is
That'd be like putting a
yeah.
runner on third.
Yeah. College
and say
football is
go.
a pretty solid, pretty big advantage, without a doubt.
But you like college footballs.
I do. I love college
Did you like
footballs.
baseballs?
I think it's one of the most exciting. I think it's fantastic. And as you said, both teams will, like with baseball, both teams get the same opportunity.
Mhm.
You know, and they get after it.
Okay.
Then again,
So you do like the ghost runner.
No, I didn't like it in baseball. No,
So how's it different?
it's different. Just trust me.
I don't trust you even a little bit.
It's just it's fine. It's fun because I think baseball.
Okay.
Oh man, you're getting all the different things. I think the struggle of baseball is where it's so beautiful, right? But like the fact that, and maybe frustrating for some people, but like the fact that failing to hit 50%, like if you go up and bat and hit the ball 40% of the time, that's one of the most insane seasons. It's not, if not the most insane season we've ever seen hitting the baseball, right? Just crazy. But so it's part of the struggle. And you take that struggle away
Okay.
when you line someone up on second or third, right? I think college football, yeah, can be a little bit different. Like to a certain extent. It's less of that struggle.
All right. Well, speaking of like whatever little strategy was left in the game, that's gone now in the NL because the universal DH is here.
Yeah.
And so
That's
when they played at Truist Park back in the World Series, that was the last time ever
Right.
we saw pitchers hit.
Yeah.
And just go back and think about what Max Fried did in the playoffs.
Right.
Slapping that ball all over the park.
Put him as the
Honestly,
DH.
Kevin, what? 4th, 5th best hitter for the Braves in the playoffs, Max Fried? Kevin said yes, so I'm gonna go with yes. Max Fried just slapping that thing all over the place. So we'll never see that again.
Never again.
Hurt my heart.
That is that is a frustrating thing. I do like it because at least there's a universal. While it was always interesting having one league with one league without one, like it was an interesting thing, right? But I do think having a one like universal rule for both leagues is a good.
Should all
thing.
golf courses be the same, PJ?
Then again,
what's next?
it's not a golf course,
no,
man.
Are all okay? Are
You
all
don't go
parks? Do all parks have to be the same now?
Absolutely
Get rid of the green monster,
No.
right?
No.
Well,
but
everything has to be the
that's not how
same.
a team is made up, right? It doesn't everything does not have to be the same. Keep the uniqueness of certain aspects.
Just not
of the
too
sport.
much uniqueness.
Listen, man.
You set the parameters of what uniqueness we can have in baseball.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing. That's the thing,
Apparently
right?
not.
Like, yeah, no, it doesn't have to be. So just because I support a rule change to make one thing universal doesn't mean I think another rule change should happen, which makes everything else
But
universal.
it was your
Like,
reasoning.
one of the fantastic things about baseball is that you go to a different park every time, and each park is different. It's incredible.
Yeah, and then
But
every
when it
now
comes
and
to
then
a
every
team
now and then
makeup,
a pitcher, when you go over and he's an AL pitcher and he hasn't batted in 60 days, and all of a sudden you're playing in an NL park and he's got a hit. That's unique.
and
That's interesting.
if you would just hold on,
No.
give me a second here, all right? I support the fact that it's a universal rule and a universal, so like National League, American League, they both can expect the same things, right? And have the same type of batting sequence or whatever. But I would have liked to see it go the other way, because I have always said that, like, listen, man, why are pitchers, like, to me, pitchers should be better at hitting the baseball, because like they have more experience with pitches and whatnot, and they know what's going on in that other pitcher's mind, right? They should, in my mind, they should be better at hitting.
That is a unique take.
They should be ready to go.
I've never heard that take
They
before.
should be ready to go, man. They should be able to expect more than just a normal batter, right?
Is this one of your Billy Joel is overrated takes?
Absolutely not. But
That's one of those things you're saying just to say it.
they're also, guess what? They're also another player on the baseball team, right? Do we say that centers that are really good at shot blocking in basketball just shouldn't play offense because they're really good at defense? Man.
I am so confused as to where you have
So
gone right now,
just-
because you started this saying that you like the fact that there was a universal DH now, and now you're coming back around to the other side.
That is not what I said. I like the fact that there's a universal rule that, like, both leagues are going to have to play the same way. Like,
Okay, and so you said that, and then I said,
would rather
okay.
have had it go the other way, though.
You
where
said
they take out
that,
DH
and then you
completely.
said,
and
then
make the pitchers bat, man.
so you don't
Make them
like,
all bat.
so you want no DHs, period.
Yeah, make the pitchers bat. They're baseball players.
I'm so confused right now.
Every pitcher should be like Max
I
Fried.
feel like I'm talking to a politician.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, it's like,
you got to be able to follow what I'm trying to say, man.
I just asked you about a key issue, and you said you support all sides and hate all sides at the same time.
I support the fact that a change was made. I wish it would have gone the other way, but I'm fine with it.
You and Cam have been on
Listen.
one the past few days. That's right up there with I expect it to happen, but I
No.
don't think it will.
No, because that doesn't make any sense.
You just said doesn't make any sense. We gotta go to
It
a break.
does.
We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about what the Braves look like with or without Freddie Freeman coming up in 2022. Yes, I am verbalizing it. I'm sorry, but there's a distinct possibility that number 5 is suiting up either in the Bronx or Los Angeles
Don't say
next year. It is what it is. We'll talk about it next right here on Second Down. Second down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by The Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside PJ Zuko. All right, baseball's back. What does that mean about the Atlanta Braves?
Well, they're back.
Because I mean, like, basically, well, they're back.
I don't know
Just
if
with
they're
the
back.
other 29 teams. But are you gonna be a contrarian all day?
Have we checked where the Atlanta Braves? They might not be back. They all might be at Freddie Freeman's house.
I hope so.
Like, are they
It's
going to
like
do the?
They're like not gonna let them drive out to get on the plane to New York.
Yeah, they're going to do the what was it? Golden State to Kevin Durant. And they just like locked him in. Was like, hey, you're coming to Golden State.
I certainly hope so. But that being said, we can only talk about the things that are probably actually happening.
Yeah, true.
Reality is, and I'm going to say this, I know Kevin's been the other way about it, like, because he's in here going through Braves lineups with us that include Freddie Freeman. The reality is Freddie Freeman's probably not going to be an Atlanta Brave. Now,
Whoa.
probability. Let's talk about what that word means. I know we haven't heard from BJ on the show here in a while, but probability. Words mean things, right?
Most of the time.
And so if something is probable to happen, that means there is a greater than 50% chance it will happen. Right now, I put the chance of Freddie Freeman re-signing with the Atlanta Braves around 33%. And I'd put New York and I'd put LA, but that means there's a 67% chance he doesn't sign with the Braves. So probability wise, Freddie Freeman's not going to be an Atlanta Brave. There's a whole lot of reasons going on behind that, but here's the biggest thing is if he was going to be a Brave, I think he'd already be a Brave. I think coming out as soon as that CBA got signed, as soon as everybody was good to go, as soon as you could start re-signing players, announcement would have come out. Braves on Twitter and Facebook would have put the big thing out there, Freddie Freeman, with the iPhone notes post that goes up there saying, oh, it's never going anywhere.
Right.
But now we have reports from Bob Nightingale that Freddie Freeman's representatives are heading to New York. The Dodgers are making a huge push for Freddie Freeman as well. So the reality is, probability-wise, Freddie Freeman will not be an Atlanta Brave in 2022.
Okay.
The NL MVP, former NL MVP, centerpiece in your run to a World Series will not be on the team. And I think even coming off of a World Series, that is a pretty big black eye to this organization. Because I think, and BJ said this since the beginning, if Freddie Freeman does leave, at least a small part of it will be the slap in the face that was the initial offer from the Atlanta Braves. Like, you're finally seeing now, and this is why teams don't do it. This is why you don't have other GMs and agents out there going like, oh, he's the best in the game. He's the best in the game. Freddie Freeman, even when he won the MVP, was like the fourth or fifth talked about first baseman, right? Paul Goldschmidt and those dudes were always above him when it came to conversations. And Braves fans have always known, like, dude's one of the best defensive first basemen we've ever seen. And maybe like just pure hitting, top 5 player in Major League Baseball. Just putting the ball in play, getting on base, doing what you're supposed to do as a professional hitter, right? We've known this, but no one acknowledged it. Now look what happens.
Mm-hmm.
When Freddie Freeman's a free agent, all of a sudden he's the number 1 free agent in baseball. And everybody and their mom wants him.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a reason why GMs and scouts and managers don't come out and be like, oh, this guy's the best. Like he's the best of the best of the best. It's this exact reason. Right? It's, oh, the Braves maybe make the mistake of thinking we can get Freddie Freeman on the cheap.
Yeah.
We can kind of value him out there as like the 3rd, 4th, or 5th best first baseman and try to get him that kind of money. And then as soon as he's a free agent, everyone's ready to offer him those 6 years.
Yeah.
Everyone's ready to offer him just an exorbitant amount of money to get him on their team. So again, reality of the situation is you're probably not going to have Freddie Freeman on your team. Does that mean you're not going to be a great offensive team? Does that mean you're not going to be a great team? No. But you're probably going to be doing that with former MVP and the center stone of your franchise. So let's move on from there. Who do you have coming back? Well, arguably the guy who is on a meteoric rise to become the best player in baseball, Ronald Acuna Jr., he should be back roughly 4 to 6 weeks into the season. We don't know how long it'll take him once he is back to be in game shape and ready to rock out, whether he's playing center field, which if you're looking at current players on the team, probably going to be your everyday center fielder. Because when you look at the outfield, you're not going to get this is going to be tough. If I had to guess, you're probably not going to get Soler back. You re-signed Guillermo Heredia to a 1-year, $1 million deal. You tendered Adam Duvall, so you should have him back as well. And then Major League Baseball also let the Braves know that they will have Marcell Ozuna available at the beginning of the 2022 season. That's if the Braves decide they want Marcell Ozuna.
Of course. Yeah.
So there's a few guys out there that you can point to and say, okay, Eddie Rosario as well. I think he's going to be a pretty hot commodity. He had a huge postseason, but I don't know if you can kind of bank on him in one postseason, paying him huge money. Like, is it a bigger deal to get him back or Jorge Soler?
Right.
So outfield, though, if I tell you you're rolling out there a month into the season and it's Ronald Acuna, Guillermo Heredia, and Adam Duvall, okay, I can see why you're like, we probably could have done a little better there. But if I tell you it's Jorge Soler as batting DH and you're rocking out there with Acuna, Adam Duvall, and Marcell Ozuna,
yeah,
all of a sudden that's a pretty different looking outfield.
Yeah. It's pretty different. It's pretty solid.
But again,
yeah.
it just I don't know which way we think the Braves go with the domestic violence stuff that Marcell Ozuna's had to deal with.
Of course. Yeah. And what kind of do they bring him back at all? Do they not? What kind of internal like moving forward, what kind of internal punishment is there and things like that. So yeah, that's very much up in the air. That theoretically though, when you talk about, a full season and having those guys out there, that would be a pretty stacked, just purely baseball wise. That'd be a pretty stacked, pretty solid looking outfield if it goes that way. So, like you said, I think the other way isn't terrible by any means. It can be solid. It has the potential, but it's like with Rosario, like you said, had an incredible postseason. Can you rely on that for a full year? Can he carry that throughout the year? That's still kind of left to be determined. But you're feeling a little worse about that, but not terrible. It's solid.
I think it's solid. I think it's probably top 5, 6 outfields in the game.
Yeah.
Especially if Acuna can come back. And there's been some videos from him just hitting absolute nukes on some practice fields. So
I'm sure. I'm sure it's going to take some time, but once he's back, man, I'm not very worried. Once he's 100%, I'm not insanely worried about his production.
So infield as well. Like again, even if you lose Freddie, you still have Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, who I think Austin Riley could have an MVP-ish season. Like he should have been in the MVP voting last year. That was a travesty. I think that dude, you lose a little bit of protection if Freddie Freeman's not in that lineup. And so all of a sudden a little bit more weight gets put on his shoulders. But I think Austin Riley could have an MVP level season coming up this year. So you're still feeling really good about the infield. And then the pitching. Charlie Morton broke his leg in the World Series. You don't know how they're going to kind of treat that situation coming out at the beginning of the season. But you have Max Fried and Ian Anderson. But where do you go from there? There were some reports that the Braves were trying to go after Justin Verlander, but he ends up re-signing with Houston. And so you have Kyle Wright. Are you still cool messing around with that situation? I mean, it just seems like every time it's more of like an experiment. Every time you bring him up for a little bit, it's okay. And then, oh my God,
everything breaks.
Like what just happened? Like it's like Mike Fulton-Navich in the playoffs. Like this is bad. So you can mess around with Kyle Wright. Tucker Davidson is a dude who had some appearances. Kyle Mueller has been good. Tukey, again, came out and was like really good 3-4 games and then would just blow up. And then the one that I think could really help solidify this rotation was starting to have a really good beginning to the season before he decided to punch an inanimate object. Huascar Ynoa.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude was filthy last year.
He was nasty.
Yeah, and then broke his hand, and if you're going to punch something, go opposite hand. But it is what it is. So I think the rotation can be good as well. All that being said, there is enough on this team with a couple of additions. I know I've heard the name Matt Olson thrown out there a lot for the first base if Freddie Freeman decides to move on. I think that keeps you absolutely in contention to repeat, get back to the World Series, right? And then just adding one more starter. Zach Greinke's a name that's been thrown around a lot, but I think you need to add one more starter. Everything else, I think you should feel pretty optimistic about if you're a Braves fan.
Yeah. Well, especially that, again, that's such a focal point, and it has been for a little bit. I mean, you remember going through the later parts of the season in the playoffs, in the World Series. It's just like, all right, we got through the start of our rotation, or the start of, first couple of starts throughout the World Series. Now, can we build the bridge to get back to them?
Sure.
Can we get back to them and win? if you don't have to worry about it that as much moving throughout the season and can have a solid 3-4 guy stable when it comes to starting pitching, and
Well,
you can be really confident.
They
in
just
that.
got devastated with injuries last year.
Of course,
and
yeah.
It is what it is, but also one of the reasons why you were kind of just like struggling to get over 500 for the first half of the season was you just didn't have consistent pitching. But the one thing that was pretty consistent, especially to the end of the year, your relief staff, and you do have, let's see, Will Smith, Tyler Matzik, AJ Minter, and Luke Jackson all back.
Yeah. Remember all the and you, I think midway through the season, like especially later in the season, you were carrying the banner a little bit and kind of talking us down from the Will Smith anxiety. Well, I don't think anxiety. I think
no,
you
anxiety
always
is
knew
a
it
good
was
word.
there, but you were like, listen, he's getting results. It just makes us all a lot more nervous than we want to be. And I think, if he can just bring that anxiety down a little bit for all of us, that'd be fantastic.
He won't, and it's just, it is what it is. Like,
think about like where we were. Think about where we were 2 or 3 years ago when you talk about the relief staff. It seemed like that was always the problem. Like that's where everything would break through, and now it seems like it's one of the more solid parts of the team. So if they can keep that buildup going, then man, that'd be incredible.
I think so too. But just looking at it, Will Smith. To be fair to the people who have anxiety about Will Smith. My point was last year, and Brian Snickers said this as well. He gets saves.
Yeah.
Like, would he be up 2 or 3 runs, and then he'd give up 2 runs, and all of a sudden, like, you're like, all right, we're getting this saved by 1 run instead of we were up 3-0. Yes. But did he give up some damn hard hit balls? The hardest in baseball. It looked like like when you have like the dad out there who's just super aggressive and slow pitch softball,
right?
Like those kind of just laser beams everywhere across the park. It'd be all day. It'd be like no contact, dribblers, some little seeing eye ground balls, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, just nukes off of Will Smith, but they'd be right at people, or somebody would make an unbelievable defensive play. And Will Smith, like, never seen a closer that had the camera shot of like his face as he's turning around and watching a ball go towards the outfield, and he's like, oh, the relief as somebody makes an unbelievable diving catch. But like, my whole point was always he gets saves.
Yeah, it works.
It's like driving a car that you know is broken,
right?
But you're like, yeah, I got to work.
Yeah,
I got here. Don't know if I'm getting home, but I got here. And you know what? Every day it gets you to work and it gets you home. Is it smoking a little bit when you get there? Certainly.
Right.
So is it making some weird noises? Absolutely, but it gets you home.
And each time you're like, I'm gonna do it until it breaks, and then it just doesn't break. It just doesn't.
Is Will Smith a 1999 Honda Accord? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I don't know. I'd say probably, and if I believe John Nelson still has his.
No, I think it finally died.
Oh, really?
Yep, after like 400,000 miles.
Yeah, no, the Corolla. I've had Hondas. I think Corollas are a little.
You know what? I have one. We'll just call it Will Smith's a '93 Jeep Cherokee.
There you go.
You just put some bacon grease in the crankshaft. He's good to go.
Absolutely.
Good to go.
No, I mean, and if that can keep happening, then good for him. Let's do it, man. But yeah, would love to see that starting pitching be solidified a little bit more. Want to see what happens with this whole first base situation. And man, are you like? Yeah, of course you don't want to lose Freddie Freeman, but if you can follow that up by acquiring Olson instead of, like, the end of the day, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think there'd be a lot of broken hearts around Atlanta, but I mean, going back to your original point, I know a lot of GMs that wanted to keep Freddie Freeman, and the hype quiet as long as possible, but I heard a stat before we came on, and when you're leading every category in first baseman stats, literally leading every category since 2019, Freddie Freeman is. So it's hard to hide that hype.
There was never the hype. There was never the hype until now. Yeah. And now all of a sudden he is the guy. And like I said,
the stats back it up.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be maybe the worst we've ever had, like, experienced in terms of the Braves.
Letting him go.
A player leaving. I think this is roughly the equivalent. Some people are like, come on now. Like, no, this could be like roughly the equivalent of like when Chipper Jones was due for his big deal if he had walked away and gone to another team.
Right. No, I mean, I'd have to agree. You look at the.
I don't know that the Brave fans have ever experienced that before.
No, I don't think so either. You look at like you said, that's a really good comparison. You look at like the trajectory of
Luckily,
their
that never
careers and
happened.
everything too.
Yeah.
It just luckily it never happened, but hopefully it doesn't this time.
I
either.
hope I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong. But we got to take a break. We have to take a break. We'll come back. We got some college football talk to dive into next. This is Second Down on ESPN Radio. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. 2 different locations in Savannah to take care of all of your uniform needs. PJ,
Sure.
You know I wasn't going to go a whole day without talking about it.
What's that?
College football, baby.
Oh yeah. I thought you were going to talk about NASCAR.
Do I hold on? We haven't played this in a while.
Oh wait, what?
I gotta bring something back real quick because I feel like this is an opportune time as we're in the middle of March Madness and we have Major League Baseball coming back. Sometimes you just gotta break the trend and you gotta let people know what they actually care about. Just
Oh, not-
unabashedly talking about football. Utah is what we call it.
Oh yeah.
Utah. This is Kevin and I did this during the shutdown when nothing was happening.
Absolutely nothing.
Just unabashedly talking about football. So
Let's do it.
PJ, here we go. I got some questions for you. Gonna do a little college football roundtable from ESPN.
Okay.
Who will be the breakout star of 2022?
Oh God.
Look me in the eyes and you tell me right now, because I've got some names.
I think you probably got some great names on that.
Like
list
this
of
past
yours.
year, right? You had Kenneth Walker.
Right.
You had Kenny Pickett. Kenny's good year for the Kennys. Aiden Hutchinson,
Mm-hmm.
who had 4 sacks before this year, but now he's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick.
You know, I have two. Actually, the more that I think of this, and one of these guys might have already like kind of halfway.
Okay, so
broken out.
let me define star then.
Okay.
You and I obviously know a lot of names.
Right.
Like we all know who Miles Brennan is. The everyday college football fan maybe could care less about some dude named Miles. Like who's this Miles Brennan cat you're talking about, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So like from like we have, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, we're so smart. Like literally we have to live in depth charts. Someone who is maybe on our radar right now, but like everybody in college football is going to know their name by the end of the year.
See, and that's what like. This guy.
So it doesn't have to be a theoretical debate.
No, I know. Well, I think that's the thing. I think this guy is kind of like halfway known just because of where he's been and where he's been around. But if everything hits right with
Okay.
this college football team, and I feel like it might, especially with this offense, Hendon Hooker.
Oh, hell
Tennessee.
yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Let's go.
That's the thing. I
That's
feel
a
like
good one.
people around here, like people in the SEC, they know who he is. People who saw Virginia Tech a few years ago and know he transferred and all that good stuff, they know who he is. But by the end of the year, if everything hits right at Tennessee and with that offense, man, and I think it will, I'm not saying they're going to go undefeated or anything like that, but man, college football is going to know who Hendon Hooker is.
Yeah, no.
And they're going to lead, like, I think he's going to be blowing up the stat sheet.
I don't think it's crazy to say that outside of Virginia Tech fans and SEC fans that played Tennessee last year, probably nobody really knows who Hendon Hooker is.
Right.
Right? But here's what you need to know about Hendon Hooker. He's playing in arguably the most exciting offense in college football.
Yeah.
Like Josh Heupel and them boys sling it around. Right? And here's where I think what has to happen is Tennessee has to either A, be relevant enough. Like, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but like go into the Georgia game like with 1 loss or undefeated,
Mhm.
something like that, right? Or upset somebody.
Yeah.
So I think if you go in to a nationally televised game that with some significance to it against a Georgia, right, or a Florida, and everybody's watching, and that would require Florida to be good too. But everybody's watching, then I think you get Hendon Hooker's name. Or if he goes out there and he beats a Georgia or an Alabama.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
He puts up like 400 yards.
Yeah.
Then all of a
Just has
sudden,
a crazy show.
yeah.
If they continue, that's the thing. They started to against Alabama last year. Like you look at the first half, I think they had like 21 points in the first half, something like that. And
Yeah.
midway through the second quarter, had the lead, and then Alabama'd them, right? Where they just come out in the second half, make those adjustments, and keep rolling. If they can do a similar thing this year or keep that contention up until the fourth quarter, man, again, like everyone's gonna know them.
All right, I got
So-
a couple for you. I want to say Jackson Dart.
See, that was the other one
Yeah.
I was debating. Yeah.
Well, everybody, I think anybody in college football, or at least the nerdy college football fans, know who he is just based off of his name, because Jackson Dart, and he spells Jackson with an X,
Yeah. Of course.
Jaxson, and his last name's Dart, and he plays quarterback.
It's perfect.
It's like if you had like a Disney Channel movie with the football. Of course, the starting quarterback's name would be Jackson Dart of like the villain team, right? Right. So no,
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jack, he's got the flow, and he only paints like underneath one eye. Like the dude's, he's swagged out, right? And so he starts off at USC, plays 3 games. Kadon Slovis, him kind of going back and forth, right? And now he transfers to, I think, an even better situation for him. He's going to go play with old Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And I am not calling Lane Kiffin Charlie Weiss Jr. No, Charlie Weiss Jr. is the offensive coordinator for Ole Miss. And that dude, like we saw what Matt Corral did last year. Exactly. Now you have him for at least 2 years.
Yeah. Being able to develop in that system, man. Yeah.
But we're only talking about this year. I think he's going to be a name that absolutely everyone's going to know. Tyler Van Dyke is another one.
Yeah. You've been high on him. Yeah.
I think Tyler Van Dyke is really good. He's the best quarterback Miami has had in a while. There's a reason why he kind of, I know D'Eriq King got hurt, but towards the end of the season, that Miami offense started to take off. We saw some 300-yard games from Tyler Van Dyke, and now Mario Cristobal comes in.
Yeah.
And so I think, there's going to be a lot of eyes on Miami. Like, is there finally a competitor with Clemson in the ACC?
Right.
Is there finally someone there? Right. I think Tyler Van Dyke can be that guy to lead Miami into that conversation. And he's finally a quarterback to where you go into a game against a Clemson, you're like, all right, Clemson just has a clear advantage of quarterback. Right now, if it's DJU or, God, what's the kid's name? The true freshman, Cade Klubenik coming in there, and Tyler Van Dyke's on the other sideline. I think you give the nod to Miami right now. So I think Tyler Van Dyke's the name to watch. Another one, Haynes King. I know we talked about Texas A&M a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But I'm choosing to believe because he was a freshman having to play.
Sometimes you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Peter. But he was a freshman having to play some tough games, but he got the nod at Texas A&M to replace Kellen Mond. I know he put up a stinker against Colorado, but again, you're a freshman. He was the number 3 quarterback in the country, and he was behind like Bryce Young, right? Like the dude, there's obviously a reason why people like him. He's a 4.4 guy, ran 22 miles an hour at Texas A&M when they were doing the measurables and stuff. So like the dude's like 6'2", 200 pounds and can fly.
Yeah.
And he's got a good arm. I think he's a name to watch as well. And then from a local perspective, we saw Jordan Davis take off across the national landscape this year, and then just has carried it over into the combine and just putting on what Todd McShay called a Mount Rushmore performance. Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
If you talk to the Jeremy Pruitts of the world when he was a freshman, right? And if you talk to any other SEC coach, they'll tell you Jordan Davis is really good. Devontae Wyatt, unbelievable. Going to be a first-round pick, right? The toughest and most disruptive defensive lineman they played at Georgia the past couple of years has been Jalen Carter. And now he's going to be the centerpiece of that front 7. And there'll still be rotation because Georgia likes to do that. Georgia likes to get out there, and they like to do the hockey line changes across the defensive line because you can do that when you have like 9 5-stars playing defensive line for you. But Jalen Carter, I think, is going to have a Jordan Davis-esque season. But what I like about him is Jordan Davis is very much the hero. I'm going to stand in front of the red coat marching band and I'm going to cheer it on, and I'm going to get the carries for touchdowns. There's a guy blocking for him that wore number 88. That was Jalen Carter.
Right.
Like they put him at fullback to lead block. Right. They let him do the nasty stuff, and he's got just on his face, he's got some Ndamukong Suh in him.
Right.
And I know how you feel about Ndamukong Suh.
Okay.
I know how you feel, but it's not so much of like, hey, great game. I really appreciate lining up against you. Hey, we're 2 SEC brethren. All right, we just got to do it for no. It's bleep you.
No, yeah, I mean, even that's a little too much for me. But no, I know what you're saying, and again, you've been high on him for a while too, and I understand why. I can't wait to see what he does this year for the simple fact you talked about Jordan Davis and the character he was and who he was and how he led that defensive line and whatnot. But like, it's different. I feel like, especially in that defensive line, that front 7, when you have to be the focal point and you get like even more of an edge to you.
Yeah.
You become that leader. And I can't wait to see him with that because he has that tenacity, that intensity, and to pair that with I'm that dude.
Yeah.
And I'm leading this charge. Like
Jock
I can't
Peterson
wait to
said,
see.
We are the MFers.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what he does with that.
Real quick, Adam Fisher writes in Arian Smith, wide receiver, Georgia. Adam, I want to agree with you. got to stay healthy. Dude's one of the fastest players in college football, like Jalen Waddle fast.
Right.
Just got to stay healthy. And certainly think he could be a guy, if he stays healthy, that could be a huge piece to watch. So there you go. Some breakout players to watch coming up in college football in 2022. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back with more. This is Second Down on ESPN Radio. Before we hand you over to 3 and Out, I want to give a shout out to the Windsor Forest Knights as they're up in Macon getting ready to play for the 3A state basketball championship, taking on defending state champions Cross Creek there. But PJ got Deontay Bass headed up to Georgetown. Think these fellas can pull it off?
Yeah, I think they have the ability and the potential to, absolutely. And the thing I like about Windsor Forest too is like Deontay Bass is so solid. He's a good scorer, really good passer, great vision, has the body for it. But there are so many other like members of that team that they can really fill it up as well. It's not just Bass and everybody else, right? There's 4 or 5, 6 other guys they can rely on if they need to. So yeah, I think they most certainly have the potential to do it. Now got to go out and do it.
Yep, tipping off at 3 o'clock. And then that you just heard there, ladies and gentlemen, was PJ's play-by-play voice.
Heyo.
There you go. 3 and Out coming up next right here on ESPN Radio. Roast me. Cook me, please. Flame me. Flame me.
No, I mean, what do you
Nope,
mean? We're just continuing on the
Cook me.
conversation. Oh, so
Cook me. I just pulled a Kevin.
So, I mean, we talk a lot about math being a struggle on this show, and just don't do math on the, well, apparently reading the time is a struggle as well. Because Christian just tried
Listen,
to go to
I'm
break.
running the board and hosting the show today, all right? We're supposed to be out at 57:50. I tried to take this bad boy out at 56:50. It's Friday. I'm ready for the weekend. Leave me alone. Holy cow.
We still got 15 seconds. I don't know if you know.
Windsor Forest basketball, 3 o'clock.
3, but also
Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas. Check our stuff out on ESPNCoastal.com, Spotify, YouTube, all the above. It's Friday, baby.
Everywhere. You know.
Have fun.
All the places.